Greetings YouTube, Skill Incarnate bringing you all the latest indie gaming goodness. Welcome back as we look at another indie game. This time I've been fortunate enough to review a game I've been watching with great anticipation. Chernobylite by Farm51, the developers of Necrovision, a criminally underrated sci-fi first-person shooter. Chernobylite is a brand new post-apocalyptic RPG, set in the ashes of the Soviet Union. The player will explore the remains of the city of Pripyat, home of the infamous Chernobyl nuclear power plant. The developer took inspiration from the classic Stalker and Metro games, which are some of the greatest post-apocalyptic RPGs of all time. Unfortunately, the Stalker games never had a sequel, with Stalker 2 on hiatus for the foreseeable future. But the developers are obviously big fans, and their aim is to create a spiritual successor to the cult series. I was curious to see how the developer could follow up on a game series that in many ways set the standard for post-apocalyptic experiences. But fortunately, Farm51 did not disappoint me. After a cataclysmic event has devastated most of the city of Pripyat, Igor, a talented researcher, has returned to his ruined home in an effort to locate his wife, who disappeared many years ago during the event. However, the city Igor once knew has changed due to the influence of Chernobylite, a mysterious new compound spreading through the city, introducing deadly radiation, reality-bending anomalies, and mutations in the local wildlife, turning them into horrible monsters with a taste for human flesh. Chernobylite is a very valuable commodity despite its danger, so a group of fortune seekers called the Stalkers have taken residence in the city, waging a war against the private military company known as the NAR, who seek Chernobylite for military applications. As a researcher of Chernobylite, Igor was present during the incident, and the player will find out more about his backstory as you complete the campaign. The story is told through Igor's quest to infiltrate the nuclear power plant, as well as several flashbacks. You'll also discover classified documents in your explorations of the zone, which will provide details on the destruction of Chernobyl, the effect on the citizens of Pripyat, and ultimately the fate of your wife and former colleagues at the plant. The story and characters are one of the strongest aspects to Chernobylite, and one of the few areas where it feels superior to the Stalker games, as rather than playing as a blank slate, you are a character with their own backstory, goals, and motivation to brave Pripyat's dangers. Chernobylite opens with Igor and his crew making a failed attempt to infiltrate the Chernobyl Reactor. They're attacked by a mysterious Stalker in black, a supernatural killer powered by Chernobylite. Only Igor and his mercenary friend Olivier make it out alive due to Igor's own Chernobylite-powered teleporter. Outnumbered and outgunned by the vastly superior NAR, they must explore Pripyat, searching for clues on the location of Igor's wife, gathering weapons and resources for crafting and upgrading, and gathering a new crew to assault Chernobyl and destroy the Black Stalker. You start each day in Igor's warehouse, little more than a rusty shed at the beginning of the game. It's from here that you'll plan the missions your party will undertake each day. Different missions will allow you to collect different resource types: food, medicine, and ammunition. There are also story missions that Igor can undertake which progress the story and allow you to recruit additional members for your crew. Early missions take place around the outskirts of Pripyat, in forests, swamps, and abandoned villages. These areas are relatively untouched, with the low levels of Chernobylite. Armed with only an old revolver, I found myself avoiding contact altogether, nervously sneaking through the forest, avoiding enemy patrols, and carefully searching for building resources such as metal, electronics, food, and medical herbs. As I fought my way closer to Chernobyl, the landscape became more hostile, twisted and warped by concentrated Chernobylite fields. Mutant horrors patrol this area, teleporting around looking for victims, and can often be found battling heavily armed NAR patrols wielding their own Chernobylite weapons. It was in moments like these where Chernobylite really shined for me. Chernobylite takes the light survival elements found in the later Stalker games and builds on them. Igor's warehouse is woefully equipped for surviving the zone. Thankfully, as a scientist, he can build a variety of structures by using the building supplies found on missions in the zone. Work tables allow you to build simple tools and furniture. Ammo presses let you construct ammo and explosives, and campfires can be used to brew chemicals and herbal medicine. Later in the game, you can unlock Chernobylite-powered crafting stations to build heavy-duty armor and experimental weapons like railguns. As your party grows, you'll also need to build farms for growing enough food and medicine to keep everybody healthy. Of course, you'll need power for all of this, so you'll need to construct generators. However, generators will produce pollution, and Chernobylite-powered stations produce radiation, so building air purifiers and radiation scrubbers should be a priority, otherwise your crew's health will begin to suffer. Finally, party morale is an important factor to consider. You'll need to build bedding for your crew to sleep in, and some basic furniture for them to be happy. You'll need to share weapons, armor, and medicine to give your crew the best chance to complete their missions and return alive. While this does sound like a lot of micromanagement, the crafting system is made far simpler than other survival games by only using a few basic resources. And your crews will offer advice between missions, giving you a summary of what supplies you're short on and what structures you should build next. There's also a basic leveling system in the game, giving you points you can spend on learning new skills from your friends, like gun handling, stealth, and foraging. The biggest appeal of the Stalker games for me has always been the atmosphere. As soon as I left my encampment and began adventuring through the zone, I never had the feeling of being safe. The environment was harsh and often hostile, with deadly storms, anomalies, and the ever-present threat of radiation. Enemies were intelligent and deadly, with even the smallest mutants able to slaughter an unprepared stalker. While Chernobylite wasn't able to perfectly emulate this feeling, it comes damn close. Players will carefully navigate through forests, empty villages, irradiated towns and military bases, using their trusty detector to locate and collect resources, avoid radiation fields, acid rain and anomalies. You'll hide in terror from mutants and carefully sneak past enemy patrols. Soldiers use biometric weapons, so the player must rely on old Soviet-era weaponry with scarce ammunition. I got very good at sneaking around, isolating and taking out soldiers to save ammunition for the bigger threats, the mutants. These are found near concentrated Chernobylite and have the ability to teleport. They can hunt in packs and take several shots to put down. One of the most terrifying moments for me was being trapped in a destroyed apartment, ducking from room to room, frantically loading the last few bullets into my pistol, as I was hunted by an invisible mutant that had effortlessly shredded an entire squad of soldiers. Chernobylite also has a sanity system, encouraging players to use non-lethal methods or avoid combat where you can. Low sanity will result in players hearing sounds and seeing hallucinations, which can range from a minor inconvenience to an event requiring me to change my underpants. The developers did a fantastic job of bringing the constant fear and uncertainty of the zone to Chernobylite. Finally, Chernobylite masterfully implements decision making into the game. In addition to deciding what missions to undertake and how to spend your scarce resources, you'll regularly meet other stalkers in the zone and sometimes even NAR soldiers needing help. Not everyone is always out to kill you. Your decisions can determine the attitude of your crew members and how other factions see you. Ignoring a team member's advice repeatedly can cause them to become unhappy, affecting their morale and in some cases causing them to betray your group. It also determines who will join your crew and who you will have as an enemy later in the game. Some crew members will not like others, resulting in conflict that you'll need to manage as well. Later in the game, you'll make big decisions that can affect the entire zone, such as destroying communication systems or using poison to eliminate military installations. Sometimes the smallest choice, such as choosing to save an enemy soldier from a slow death by radiation, can drastically change your experience later in the game. I always treat decision making in games with skepticism, as it's rarely implemented well, but choices in Chernobylite seem to have real weight, and in some cases very serious consequences. This also provides huge replayability for completionists, as it's impossible to recruit all NPCs and explore all the choices in 1 or 2 playthroughs. So do I recommend Chernobylite? If you're a fan of games like Stalker and the Metro series, this game should be an automatic purchase. It comes the closest out of any games I've played as a successor to the Stalker series, and you can see the developers' love for the series in every aspect of the game. It's a fantastic homage without drawing too heavily on the source material. The only real criticism I had with the game was that I didn't have enough opportunity to play with some of the late game toys such as the railgun due to being unable to unlock these until the end of the campaign. The game lacked set pieces where I could go wild in some massive gunfights using the exotic equipment, and I spent most of my time creeping between encounters armed with nothing but a pistol or an AK-47. I also found the loading time to be extremely long on the PlayStation, leading me to believe the game is not very well optimized for console. However, these issues were minor annoyances with an otherwise brilliant game. That was it for my review of Chernobylite. As always, I hope you enjoyed watching. I'd love to hear from anyone who has also played the game. Did you finish it? Did you find it was a worthy successor to the Stalker games? And are you looking forward to a sequel like myself? Let me know in the comments, and I look forward to you joining me when we cover another indie game. Until next time, Skill Incarnate, out.